Trent Mallory put his hand flat against the marina gate before I could reach the latch. Not today, Sam. Behind him, the dock was already waking up. Coolers bumped against knees. Kids dragged orange life jackets across the boards. Somebody laughed from Slip Row C, and a boat engine coughed twice before settling into a low rumble. I had my gate card in my right hand. I had used that same card so many mornings I could find the reader without looking. But Trent stood between me and the post like he had been waiting for me. "Trent," I said quietly, "I'm just going to check the west side." His jaw tightened. He glanced past me, toward two slip holders pretending not to listen. "You're not checking anything," he said. "This is family property." The words landed harder than they should have. I looked through the gate at the dock boards, the rail, the same cleat I had tightened last spring. "I know what it is," I said. "No, I don't think you do." Trent lowered his voice, but not enough. "You were married to my mother. That doesn't make you real family." A woman near the bait freezer stopped digging in her cooler. A father with two boys looked away fast. The kind of quiet that follows an ugly sentence spread across the gate. I kept my hand still. June used to say a man showed his age by what he refused to throw back, so I did not throw anything back. Trent held out his palm. The card. For a second, I closed my fingers around it. It was just plastic. Blue stripe, white marina logo, a scratch across the corner from where I had dropped it near the pump hose years ago. Then I placed it in his hand. He took it like he was taking back something stolen. "You can call the office if you need anything," he said. I nodded once, not because I agreed, because I was not going to give the dock a show. I stepped back from the gate. That was when I saw it. A faded yellow repair tag, wired just below the latch. Water-stained, curled at one corner, almost hidden behind the metal post. Black marker still showed through. SA, under my initials, was a repair number, and beneath that, barely readable, were the words, "West Finger, Rail Cleat." I looked from the tag to Trent's hand holding my card. The tag was attached to the same dock he had just said I had no right to touch. Megan Mallory saw my eyes move before Trent did. She was standing just inside the gate with a canvas tote on her shoulder and sunglasses pushed up in her hair. Her little boy was tugging at her hand, asking if they could see the boats, but Megan was looking at the latch. "What is that?" she asked. Trent turned halfway. "What? That tag?" Megan stepped closer to the gate. "The one wired under the latch." I said nothing. Trent frowned, then bent just enough to see it. Old maintenance junk. Gus leaves those things everywhere. Megan reached through the bars and turned the tag with 2 fingers. The wire squeaked against the metal post, and the faded plastic flipped into the sunlight. Her face changed when she saw the letters. "Estee," she said. Trent's mouth tightened. "So?" She looked at me. "Sam Avery." I kept my hands by my sides. The whole dock seemed to keep moving behind her, but the 3 of us had gone still. "It was just a small fix," I said. "What kind of fix?" Megan asked. I glanced at the rail beyond the gate, then at the worn corner of the tag. "The kind you don't notice if it holds." Trent gave a short breath through his nose. "Megan, don't start this. I'm not starting anything." She leaned closer, reading the faded marker. "There's a number on it." "It doesn't matter," Trent said. "I said he's not going in." Her eyes stayed on the tag. "Dad, if he had no right to touch this dock, why would his initials be on marina repair material?" That question hung there longer than Trent wanted it to. A man carrying a tackle box slowed near the bait freezer, then pretended to check his phone. An older woman by the slipboard looked from Trent to me, then down at the gate card still in his hand. Trent reached for the tag. "I'll have Gus clean this up later." Megan moved faster. She pulled a pen from her tote and wrote the repair number across the inside of her wrist, right below the strap mark from her watch. "Megan!" Trent warned. She capped the pen. "It's just a number." I looked at her wrist. The old tag swung once in the breeze, tapping softly against the gate latch. I had not expected anybody to notice it. I surely had not expected Megan to write it down. Trent's fingers closed around the tag wire, but he did not pull. Not yet. And for the first time that morning, the question was no longer whether I belonged at the dock. It was why the dock still had my name on it. Megan did not argue with her father at the gate. She looked at the number on her wrist, then looked toward the marina office. "I'm going to ask Rita what it is," Trent said. "Megan, I'm busy." "So is everybody," she said, and walked away before he could stop her. I stayed outside the gate for a moment, feeling the empty spot in my pocket where my access card had always sat. Then I followed her, not into the dock area, just around the public walkway to the office door. Rita Sloan was behind the counter with a phone tucked against her shoulder and a stack of slip envelopes under one hand. She had worked that office long enough to know when a smile would help and when it would insult a man. She looked at me, then at Megan. "Everything all right?" Megan held out her wrist. "Can you check an old repair tag number?" Rita's eyes flicked toward the gate. "From where?" "The latch by West Finger," Megan said. "It has Sam's initials on it." Rita did not react big. She only set the phone down, reached under the counter, and pulled a gray binder from a lower shelf. "Old tags are usually matched to work orders," she said. "If nobody tossed the folder," Trent came in before she opened it. "This isn't necessary," he said. Rita kept her hand on the binder. "Then it'll take 30 seconds. Nobody spoke after that. Rita ran her finger down a handwritten index taped inside the front cover. The office was noisy in the small ways. Offices are noisy. Printer warming up, keys clinking on hooks, a radio low behind the supply shelf. Then her finger stopped. She turned 3 pages, then 2 more, and slid out a white work order with a yellow copy stapled behind it. Megan leaned closer. I stayed where I was. Rita read the top line first. "Repair tag key 17-9. Trent folded his arms. "And?" Rita looked at the page again. Her voice stayed even, but something in her face changed. "West Finger," she said. "Gate latch area and rail check." Megan looked back at me. Rita read the next line slower. "Completed by S. Day, no labor charge." For the first time that morning, Trent did not have an answer ready. He reached for the paper, but Rita kept it flat on the counter with 2 fingers. Not rude, just firm. "It's an office record," she said. I looked at the work order. My initials were there in blue ink, small and plain, and right above them was the name of the same dock Trent had just barred me from entering. Rita did not hand Trent the work order. She turned it sideways, read the folder code printed in the corner, then reached for a metal file drawer behind the counter. "There should be backup photos with this one." Trent's voice sharpened. "Photos of what?" "Dock condition," Rita said. "Not an investigation, just office record keeping after bad weather." That made Trent quiet, but not calm. She pulled a thin manila folder with a blue strip across the top. On the tab, someone had written West Finger. Storm follow-up. Megan looked at me, but I kept my eyes on the counter. Rita opened the folder and slid out a sheet of printed photographs, 4 pictures on 1 page. They were grainy office prints, the kind made on a copier that was running low on color. The first photo showed the West Finger gate with puddled boards and a crooked latch. The second showed 2 cleats pulled slightly loose from the dock edge. Not broken off, not dramatic, just loose enough that anybody tying off there would feel it give. The third photo showed a railing section pushed out of line. Megan leaned closer. "That was all from a storm?" Rita nodded. Wind and water shifted things. It happens. That's why small problems get tagged before they become bigger ones. Trent tapped the photo sheet with 1 finger. "This doesn't prove anything about Sam." "No," Rita said. "It proves the dock needed attention." I felt my jaw tighten, but I did not speak. The 4th photo was taken from farther back, near the supply shed. West Finger stretched across the frame in gray morning light, damp and empty except for 1 man near the rail. Megan touched the corner of the picture. "Is that you?" she asked. I looked down. The man in the photo was small, half turned away, wearing an old tan jacket and carrying a short board under one arm. His cap covered most of his face, but I knew the bend of those shoulders. "Yes," I said. Trent stared at the photo as if it had moved. Rita adjusted her glasses. "The date stamp is before regular opening hours." Megan read the date out loud, then looked toward the gate through the office window. The marina outside kept going. Kids laughed. A cooler lid slammed. Somebody called for sunscreen. But inside the office, all I could hear was the soft scrape of Megan's finger on that photo. "You were there before anyone came down to the slips," she said. I folded my hands in front of me. The photo did not say why I was there, but it showed I had been standing on that dock before it opened, with repair material in my arms. Rita kept the storm photo sheet on the counter, but her eyes had moved to the bottom of the work order. "There's a supply reference here," she said. Trent looked tired of hearing that records still existed. "Rita, we don't need to dig through every old piece of paper." Megan did not look at him. "What supply reference?" Rita slid the work order closer to herself and read the small box near the corner. "Harbor Hardware. Receipt attached to maintenance folder, according to this." I felt my thumb press into the side of my hand. Harbor Hardware was 3 blocks from the marina. I had bought enough screws and bolts there over the years that the old cashier used to start writing my name before I finished saying it. Rita opened the manila folder again and checked the inside pocket. She found a folded receipt, yellowed at the crease and stapled to a half sheet of marina paper. Megan leaned in. "What does it say?" Rita smoothed the receipt flat. "Dock screws, cleat bolts, gate latch hardware, 2 railing brackets, 1 marine-grade board." Trent gave a short laugh, but it had no humor in it. That could be anybody's receipt. Rita tapped the top line. "Paid in cash." "That still doesn't mean." "And there's a name written on the back," she said. The office went still again. Rita turned the receipt over. My handwriting sat there, small and practical, the way I wrote on lumber cuts and paint cans. S. Avery. West Finger. Megan looked at me, then down at the receipt. "You bought these?" I nodded once. "For the dock?" "For the loose spots," I said. "Nothing big," Trent's face colored. "You shouldn't have been buying supplies for my marina." I looked at him then. "Not hard, just direct. Your mother didn't call it that." The sentence was out before I could pull it back, and I saw it hit him in a place he did not want touched. Rita cleared her throat and reached for a narrow blue file box under the counter. "If he bought parts for a marina repair, there should be a reimbursement slip, unless it was declined." Trent said nothing. She checked under the repair number, then under my name, then under West Finger. The only sounds were the radio behind the shelf and the slap of small waves against the dock pilings outside. Finally, Rita closed the file box. Megan asked, "Was he paid back?" Rita shook her head. "No reimbursement request on record." I looked through the office window at the gate, at the faded tag moving in the breeze. Megan's voice dropped. "Why would you buy the parts yourself and not ask for the money back?" I did not answer, because the receipt had proved what I bought, but not yet why I had bought it. Gus Rayner came in through the side door with a coil of rope over one shoulder and saw every face in the office turn toward the counter. He stopped. "Looks like I walked into something I wasn't invited to." Megan picked up the receipt, then set it back down carefully. "Gus, can I ask you something about Sam?" Gus looked at me first, the way working men do when they know a question might cut more than it should. "Depends what kind of something." Trent stood near the filing cabinet with his arms folded. "Tell her Sam wasn't supposed to be doing repairs around here." Gus took the rope off his shoulder and laid it across a chair. "That's not what I'd say." The room tightened. Megan stepped closer. "What would you say?" Gus reached for the repair folder, but he did not open it fast. "I'd say Sam knew his limits better than most people who get paid to know theirs." Trent frowned. "Meaning what?" "Meaning he tightened loose cleats," Gus said. "Secured loose boards if one was starting to lift." reset simple rail sections when they got knocked out of line, checked gate latches. Little stuff. He pointed toward the office window, toward west finger beyond the gate. If it was bigger than that, he told me or wrote it up for the office. He didn't touch electrical, didn't do structural work, didn't rebuild docks, didn't pretend he was an inspector. I looked down at my hands. Hearing it out loud should have felt like defense. Instead, it felt like somebody opening a drawer I had kept closed for a reason. Megan asked, "So he wasn't just wandering around?" Gus gave her a look. Sam Avery never wandered around a dock in his life. He noticed things. Rita pulled another sheet from the folder. These are Gus's maintenance notes attached to the same repair file. Gus leaned over and read one line upside down. Loose cleat reported by SA, checked by GR, that's me. Megan read the next line herself. Gate latch sticking. Temporarily adjusted by SAA for morning access. Review by Gus. Exactly, Gus said. Small fix to keep folks from fighting the gate. Then I checked it. Trent stared at the notes like they were written in another language. Gus's voice softened a little. I told Sam more than once to leave things alone and just call me. He usually did. But if a loose board was catching somebody's shoe, he wasn't going to stand there and admire the problem. A short silence followed. Outside, a child shouted from the dock, and someone answered with a laugh. Inside, Megan traced the initials on the maintenance note with one finger. "Why didn't anybody tell Dad?" she asked. Gus glanced at Trent, then at me. "I don't know what people tell each other in families," he said. "I just know this. If Sam wrote it down, June usually knew about it." Gus's words left the office quieter than any argument could have. Rita stood behind the counter with one hand still on the folder, but she was not looking at the repair notes anymore. She was looking toward the old file cabinet by the coffee maker. "If June knew," Megan said, "would there be something here?" Rita did not answer right away. Trent shifted his weight. "My mother didn't write down every little thing that happened around this place." "No," Rita said. "But she wrote down anything she was afraid people would misunderstand later." I looked away from the counter. That sounded like June. Practical, even when her hands were tired. Careful with words because she knew people got careless with memory. Rita opened the old file cabinet and pulled the bottom drawer hard enough that it squealed on its track. Inside were hanging folders with faded tabs, some marked in June's handwriting. "Don't make this into something it isn't," Trent said. Rita did not look up. "I'm only checking a note." She moved past folders, marked fuel invoices, slip renewals, gate repairs, and volunteer cleanup. Then she stopped at one labeled West Finger. Office notes. My chest tightened before she opened it. Rita slipped out 3 loose pages clipped together with a rusted paper clip. The top 2 were ordinary. A dock checklist and a reminder about winter rope storage. The third was smaller. It was half a sheet of marina stationery, folded once, with June's handwriting across it in blue pen. Rita reads silently first. Megan watched her face. "What does it say?" Rita placed the note flat on the counter, smoothing the crease with her palm. Then she read it aloud, low and careful. "Sam says don't bill the marina for the West Finger work. He says it needs to stay safe for family and the older slip holders. He'll handle the small things and bring the bigger ones to Gus." No one moved. The office sounds seemed to pull away from us. Even the radio behind the shelf felt too loud. Trent stared at the note like his mother had just stepped into the room and corrected him without raising her voice. Megan's eyes found mine. "You didn't want them to pay you?" I swallowed once. June had enough to carry. Trent's mouth opened, but nothing came out. Rita kept her finger at the bottom of the note. "There's one more line." I did not remember one more line. She read it slower this time. "Keep Sam's gate card active for West Finger access unless Gus says otherwise." Megan looked up fast. Trent's face changed. The note had answered why June trusted me with the work. But now it raised a harder question. Had she also trusted me with the gate? Rita did not move the note from the counter. She only looked toward the narrow cabinet beside the key hooks. Access cards are tracked separate from repair folders. Trent reached for his keys. That system's been updated twice since then. Then there should be an old export sheet, Rita said. Megan folded her arms. Can you check it? Rita opened the cabinet and pulled out a black binder with a cracked plastic spine. A faded label on the front read gate access. Archive. I stayed back from the counter. I did not need to see June's name to know what she had wanted, but part of me was afraid to see it anyway. Rita turned past pages of card numbers, slip assignments, and emergency contacts. Her finger moved down columns of names until she stopped near the bottom of one sheet. There, she said. Megan leaned in first. Trent did not. Rita read the entry aloud. Card number 1184. Avery, Samuel. West finger accessed. Status. Active. Trent's voice came out low. That doesn't say why. Rita slid the page a little closer and pointed to the notes column. Megan read it before Rita could. Approved by June Mallory Avery. Trusted repair contact. Small dock issues only. Larger issues to Gus or office. No one spoke for a moment. I looked at the card in Trent's hand. The same blue stripe. The same scratch across the corner. It had felt like plastic when I gave it up. Now it looked like something June had left standing between me and being erased. Trent shook his head once. This is old, Rita turned the page. Renewed the next spring, she turned another. Still active, another page. Still active. Megan's voice softened. Dad, Rita stopped on the newest sheet in the binder, where the paper was cleaner and the print darker. Her finger landed on a line dated 2 weeks earlier. Status changed, she said. Trent looked at the counter. Megan read the line, and this time her voice was not soft. Access canceled by Tina Mallory. The marina outside sounded loud again all at once. Boards creaking, water slapping, a child calling for his grandfather. I watched Trent's hand close around my card. Megan looked from the archive sheet to him. You didn't just take his card today, Trent swallowed. You canceled something Grandma June had approved. Rita closed the access card binder, but she did not put it away. There's one more place West Finger would show up, she said, and reached for a thin green folder from the side shelf. Slip holder complaints, Trent looked up sharply. Complaints about what? Loose cleats, sticking gates, rail concerns. Small things people call in before they get worse. Rita laid the folder on the counter. That was the point of keeping records. Megan opened it before her father could object. The first sheet had Carol Jensen's name at the top. I knew Carol. She kept a blue canvas chair near slip key 12 and always brought peppermints for the kids who got seasick before the boat even left. Megan read the note under her breath. Gate latch sticking again, Mrs. Jensen worried she can't open it with one hand. Rita pointed to the bottom line. Resolved, Megan read it louder. Latch adjusted by Est. Bigger replacement recommended to Gus. Trent looked toward me, then away. The next form came from an older couple on slip key 9. Loose cleat, reported twice. Final note. Cleat tightened by Est. Backing plate review sent to GR. Gus nodded once. That's how it should have been handled. Megan turned another page. A railing note. A lifted board near the west corner. A complaint about the gate scraping hard enough that one slip holder had stopped using the dock alone. None of it sounded dramatic. That was what made it hurt. They were small worries from people who did not want to be a bother, and I had known exactly how that felt. The office door opened, and Carol Jensen stepped in holding a folded sun hat against her chest. She stopped when she saw the folder. I heard my name, she said carefully. Megan looked embarrassed. I'm sorry, Mrs. Jensen. We're just checking some old doc notes. Carol's eyes moved to me. About Sam? No one answered fast enough. Carol came closer and looked at the papers on the counter. Your grandmother trusted Sam because he noticed what the rest of us were afraid to complain about twice. Trent's face tightened, but this time there was no anger in it. Carol touched the edge of the complaint form. When that latch stuck, he didn't make me feel old. He just fixed the little part and told Gus about the bigger one. I looked down at the floor mat by the counter. Megan kept turning pages, slower now. My initials were not on every sheet, but they were on enough. Enough to show a pattern. Enough to show people had trusted me at the dock long before Trent took my card. Megan gathered the papers without making a show of it. She did not wave them in front of the slip holders or call anyone over from the dock. She only looked at Trent and said, "Dad, come into the back office." Trent's eyes moved toward me. Megan saw it. "Sam can wait out here. That should have hurt more than it did, but I understood what she was doing. Some truths get ruined if they are thrown like rocks." Rita handed Megan the folder stack and closed the office door behind them, leaving me on the bench near the old brochure rack. Through the glass, I could not hear every word. I could see enough. Megan laid the faded dock repair tag on Rita's desk first, then the work order, then the storm photo sheet, then the receipt from Harbor Hardware. Trent stood with his arms crossed. That was how he always stood when he wanted the room to know he was still in charge. Megan kept going. She placed June's note beside the access card record, then set the slip holder complaint forms last. She did not point at Trent. She did not raise her voice. She just made a line of paper across that desk that started with a little tag and ended with people who had needed the dock to be safe. Rita stood near the filing cabinet, hands folded, saying almost nothing. I looked down at my shoes and listened to the marina outside. A boy asked his mother if they could get ice cream later. A dock line slapped against a metal cleat. Somebody laughed too loud, then caught themselves near the office window. Inside, Trent picked up the receipt first. He put it down quickly. Then he picked up the access card record. His mouth moved once, like he had found an argument, but Megan slid June's note closer. That was when he stopped. The note was small compared to the other papers. Half a page, one fold, blue ink. Trent read it. Then he read it again. His shoulders changed before his face did. They dropped just a little, as if something heavy had finally found the right place to land. Megan said something I could not hear. Trent shook his head, but it was not denial this time. It looked more like a man trying to clear water from his ears. He touched the bottom line of June's note with one finger. Then he looked toward the closed door. For the first time all morning, Trent did not look angry. He looked lost. When the door opened, he was still holding the note. His voice was low. "Where's Sam?" Trent found me outside, sitting on the low concrete wall by the bait freezer. I had not gone far. At 76, a man learns the difference between leaving and giving people room to decide who they want to be. The marina was thinning out for the afternoon, but Trent did not ask me to come back through the office. He held my gate card in one hand and June's note in the other. For a second, neither of us spoke. Then he said, "I shouldn't have taken this from you at the gate." I looked at the card, not at him. "No, you shouldn't have." He nodded like the answer cost him, which maybe it did. "I'm not asking you to forget what I said," he told me. "That's good," I said, "because I haven't." His face tightened, but he did not defend himself. He only slipped June's note into a folder under his arm and turned toward the marina gate. "Would you come with me?" he asked. The same two slip holders from that morning were near the dock board, pretending not to watch. Trent saw them, too. This time, he did not perform for them. He walked to the gate, put his key in the override lock, and opened it himself. Not wide, just enough. Then he reached into his shirt pocket and pulled out a fresh yellow repair tag. The plastic was stiff, the wire still straight and shiny. Black marker crossed the face of it. West finger. Walkthrough needed. SNATM, I read it twice. The first set of initials was mine. The second was his. Trent held it out, not like a gift, but like a tool. Gus said a walkthrough isn't the same as inspection. We flag small things. Anything bigger goes to him or the office. I took the tag between two fingers. That's how it's supposed to work. I know that now. He looked toward the rail, then back at me. His voice dropped. I put your card back in the system. Rita watched me do it. He handed me the card. It felt heavier than plastic this time. Trent stepped aside from the reader, leaving the gate clear, not inviting the crowd to notice, not making a speech, just making space where he had taken it away. I held the card against the scanner. The little light blinked red once, then green. The latch clicked. Behind me, someone on the dock went quiet. I did not turn around. Trent opened the gate wider and looked at the west fingerboard stretching out ahead of us. I did not step through yet. He seemed to understand why. After a long breath, he said, "Sam, will you walk it with me?" The next Saturday, I reached the marina before sunrise. For a moment, I stood outside the gate the way I had the week before, listening to the water knock softly against the pilings and watching the first light touch the rail on West Finger. My access card was in my hand. I held it against the reader. The light turned green. The latch clicked clean. I stood there longer than I needed to, because a sound like that can mean more than opening a gate. Trent was already on the other side with 2 paper coffees, work gloves, and 1 replacement board leaning against the rail. He did not smile too big. He did not try to make the morning easy. "I marked the loose one," he said. "Thought you'd see it faster than I would." I looked at the board, then at him. "That one can be secured," I said. "But the corner past it needs Gus to look before anybody touches it." Trent nodded right away. I already left him a note in the office that mattered. We walked the dock slowly, not as father and son, not yet. Maybe not ever in the way some people mean it, but we walked it as 2 men responsible for the same stretch of boards. At the loose plank, Trent knelt first. He set the new repair tag beside the drill and read it under his breath. West Finger. Walkthrough needed. SA/TM. He looked up at me. I wrote it that way because I didn't want anyone thinking I fixed this alone. I handed him the right bit from the tool pouch. "You're learning," I said. A small sound came out of him, almost a laugh, almost not. We secured the board together. Nothing dramatic, no crowd, no speech. Just 2 sets of hands doing a small job the right way. When we finished, Trent picked up the old faded tag from the office counter and walked to the repair board near the door. He had put a clear sleeve there. He slid the old tag inside it carefully, flattening the curled corner with his thumb. Then he hung the new tag beside it. For a while, we both stood there without talking. The old tag showed what I had fixed when I thought nobody noticed. The new one showed what we were finally willing to fix together. Outside, the marina gate opened for the first slip holder of the morning. The dock boards gave their familiar low creak under her steps, and beside the repair board, 2 yellow tags moved slightly in the breeze. One marked EST-A, one marked EST-ATM.